Have a very special guest this morning. Now, on Saturday, there was a group of enthusiastic women who took part in the Vinepa Trust and Monomono blanket fiafia night held in Kilburn. And our special guest this morning that is joining us is from the Vinepa Trust, the Director and CEO, my lovely sister Gabby Makisi, and she's going to be sharing more about the Vinepa Trust and the wonderful work that they're doing to help connect people and their Pacific identity, language, and culture. Now, talofa lava, malo e lei, Gabby, good morning.
Morning, Finger.
Good to see you this morning. You're looking very nice, bright, and beautiful this morning.
Thank you, dear.
Now, before we start, Gabby, if you can just give us just a little bit, especially for our listeners, just a little background about yourself, where you were brought up, and your family.
Yeah, Fafitaya Mulevanoa. So my name is actually Gabriel Sisifo Dunlop, Asotasi Va'a Makisi, or Gabby Makisi. I'm born in Kilburn and raised in Kilburn Newtown, which is kind of the southern eastern suburbs of Wellington, and I was also raised in Tanunga in Samoa. So went to Samoa College and then came back for university. I'm a secondary school teacher, but now I've worked at ministry in the Pacific base for about 11 years. My family is the Sa Atua from Tangamanono and the Sa Te'o or Te'o from the Sa Petaya family in Samoa, and I also have links to Govan Glasgow and Ngāti Maniapoto. I have 4 beautiful children, and my husband was Asotasi Va'a Makisi, who's also born in Whalatai, but Newtown boy and Samoan Tongan. And I guess the Vinepa Trust is born from what do we do in our community to support achievement, good health, and doing things together as Pacific. Yeah.
Nice. Now, Gabby, can you tell us a little bit more about the Vinepa Trust and some of the other events and programs that you're a part of?
Yeah, thanks, Finger. So Vinepa Trust, I graduated a million years ago. I'm an old lady in 1988. And when I graduated, my grandmother, Emily Moore, basically said to me, she was happy with that, but she said, how are you going to, as our parents do, she said to me, how are you going to now use that to always ensure that you're using your poto to serve our community and make sure everybody has those achievements. So 1988, as a new graduate, my husband and I, we started a study hub. So that's, 34 years ago. And that study hub has run basically once a week since then. We now run on a Tuesday night. And we loosely called ourselves Vinepa Incorporated in those days. And Vinepa was my great-grandmother, who was Petaya's wife. And Vinepa effectively looked after the family as a young widow and ensured that all of her children and then all of us had opportunities, and basically from Fasito Uta. And so we took the challenge, we started our study hub, and that's developed over the years, but essentially initially for our family kids, that they would get support from, new entrants through to college, that as I was a teacher and I got in primary school teachers that would support literacy, numeracy, etc. And then when my husband passed away in 2013, we formalised it and made it Vinepa Trust with my 2 cousins, and who's Tiumalu, Koreti Sialava'a, and Folupeliko. My sisters stood next to me and they said, if you want to continue this, we need to get funding. You can't be funding it from yourself or from your family. And so we formalised it into Vinepa Trust. We got funding for the study hub, which still runs on a Tuesday night from Pacific Futures. We get funding from Ministry of Health to run health activities. And then we had started little workshops on laonga with our girls. Nice. On how to carry the iokonga, our boys, how to follow me ai, things like that with our family. And so then we applied for funding from Ministry of Pacific People from their Languages and Culture Fund. And last year we made tuinga, and then this year we looked at it again. So basically we looked at the areas of education, health, and identity, language and culture, and how can we support our community, be with our community, because our communities are. And so we're the workers. So I love when Ina said, what is your role? I am the director CEO, but with my two cousins, that means we do the work.
Yeah.
The board is made up of my uncle Tia, who's the chair of our Sāpetaia family in Wellington, my mother Tangaloa Tele, and my cousin Reverend Auliko. So we have kind of a very strong anganu'u kind of cultural through Uncle Tia, education through Tangaloa Tele, and our spiritual support through Reverend Au. And so on Saturday night shall I go on to Saturday night, Whinga?
Yes. Please tell us more about your Monomono blanket fiafia night.
Yeah. So then when we looked at what we wanted to do we were successful in our funding application to Ministry of Pacific People, and we'd put forward ideas for 5 sessions. And one of them was to look at tuinga and making kiki and bale, etc. But we also, one of the Tongan girls had come and helped me to make the tuinga for my daughter's wedding. And her name was Tupo. And Tupo really said the main thing we should be working on is bringing in the Tongan mothers and the other Pacific mothers, not just you Samoans, and we should be making monomono, which are Tongan blankets, which are used kind of like how Samoans use iokonga often in terms of exchange. And so that of our 5 workshops for Ministry of Pacific People, that was our first one of 10 weeks. And we brought in, Tupo sadly passed away in November. So we went out to the Tongan community, brought in some of our mamas who could support with monomono. Nice. And we also looked at monomono as a specific type of blanket, but often in Samoa we make a kind of a quilt blanket made up of different pieces of material. And so then we used the funding to buy a sewing machine, to buy, each woman had a box of like a sewing kit with everything that they needed besides, and duvets, and then they would bring their pieces of material. And we put it out to our community. We thought we'd have 25 spaces. We had close to 40 women, we had 38 women who wanted to do it. Yeah. And so we met for 10 weeks every Monday, and we developed, everyone could develop their own, either a Tongan monomono or this more patchwork quilt. And it was absolutely fantastic. Our women, Whinga, they're different ages. I think our oldest was 80, down to young girls of 20. We come together. If you can't make it, that's all right. Do it at home. But we basically came together. There's something to eat, laughter, singing, little bit of dancing. But actually, as you work, almost like at home, you know, growing up, when I saw the woman in Matamana in Tangamanono doing crafts, or it's not crafts to us, it's making fala or iokonga, and that the talking and the sharing in a space that there's nothing happening except just positive relationship being together. And and hearing from the older ladies what's happening in their lives, shared bilingually, Samoan, English, Tongan over here. We had Fijian ladies over here. And particularly for me, who I was kind of, my age is, I'm smack in the middle, hearing from our mothers, but also our younger girls having confidence to also be sharing and talking. I can't sew, so I had to get support from some of the Tongan women, to be able to finish. And then on Saturday, so we gave a date, and then on Saturday we had a fiafia night, and we showed our finished results. And the ladies, we put a red carpet in our church, so the ladies walked down the church, the red carpet, and then they presented to their families what they'd made. And it was beautiful, Whina, because many had named theirs and could say how they made it, what it meant for them. So it was quite a lot of laughter because, everybody danced down the aisle, but a bit of, sadness, emotion. My one, I was so happy to complete because it's not one of my talents, but and then we had a shared meal, but it was a really beautiful, so that, and by the end of August we'll start another one on screen printing using the old Ubiki boards, but also with stencils, and that will be another 10 weeks to make tablecloths, material, etc. And then we'll have another fiafia night. But already, ladies are trying to bag spaces. I said, you have to wait until it opens so it's fair, but we don't. For the Tuinga last year, we had a waiting list. I think whoever wants to come, and we just make it happen.
Nice. Wow, it sounds like it was a great night. Ina talked highly of it, and she said she really enjoyed it. I was just gutted that I missed the ipuki, hearing that there was a shared meal afterwards.
It was a heavy food. It wasn't a cup of tea, but yeah.
Well, definitely going to make sure that I make the next one.
Yes, I think I want your wife to come to the next one so that one day a week Luli can, and that's what it is. It's as mothers and daughters, and we all we're busy. Even our retired mothers, they're so busy.
Yeah.
So to just have a space where, sometimes the women don't do anything. Yeah. They just sit at the table and talk. Some of the mothers finished early, but earlier than the 10 weeks, but they still came because they missed that fellowship. And it's a different fellowship because we all have our churches, we all have our family. This is a group of women that are linked through those, but also aren't.
Yeah.
So lots of the discussions were probably different than you'd have in church, etc.
Yeah.
And I like it. For me, my life's busy as like all of ours. But as a mum, I can sit there with my daughter. As a daughter, my mother came, and she made hers. And during that 10 weeks, we had deaths amongst our women. We had 21st. We had haywire things, and that's what they talk about. We had a grandmother in Auckland who came down for part and then finished hers and then shared online. Pretty special actually, that for me as someone that does the organising with Tumalu and Lupe, it's a privilege. It's actually a privilege to just hang out with women that basically every day work really hard, keep their families together, and have this space to just hang out and show love. And but now they all have different ideas for the other workshops. Whina, they want a winter cabaret, like it's that kind of talking. We heard about all their children and what people were doing. Yeah, pretty cool.
And I guess it's the Pārangis talk about therapy and doing things that are therapeutic, but that's exactly what it is. We've been doing it for thousands of years, for generations and generations, And it's a great opportunity,
Yeah,
not only share
absolutely.
stories, but, good to talk about other people in our family we don't like. But what's the plan, Gabby? What are some of the plans that you've got? I know you're doing the current projects that you have in place, but are there other stuff you're wanting to extend out to with the Vinepa Trust?
Yeah, I think I think Vinepa Trust for for me, and I know for my cousins and my family, is it's that my mother always says, to those who much is given, much is expected, and to me, it's about not only our service, because for someone, kaukua is one thing,
Mm,
but you're part of it,
yeah,
and so you're right. The therapy, I guess, on top of our busy lives, this is volunteer, this is all our spare time, and I know
mm,
that. So Monday is this workshop, Tuesday is the study hub, um, Wednesday we're looking for what we do in our Ministry of Health. We have grief sessions
mm,
and planning for death sessions. I mean, basically, my vision for Vinepa Trust is that we continue to hold a space
mm.
for what our community wants to do, and that it provides a space for, I guess, Pacific solutions to
Nice.
Pacific desires.
Yeah.
Um, there's there's not, as you know, we're all heavily connected to our churches and our families. This is a kind of the other.
Mm,
So
mm,
it's a village model, but our village isn't our Aina village or our geographical village. Our village is, as groups of Samoan women, men, children, Tongan, Pan Pacific, Fijian,
mm.
um, just being together as us. But I think you hit it on I would like to stay in the education and the
Yeah.
space. But I think anything, any opportunity to support our families during COVID. We were lucky to get
Mm,
funding from Pacific Futures and Vakatautua, and were able to get we didn't do food parcels because I can't drive and our women are busy, but we bought um, vouchers from Pack and Save, got them out,
mm.
paid for utilities, because we are part of our community. We know our community,
Yeah.
and it's not often, it's not only our families that, our families in trauma, or our families that are at the end, but it's all of us need
Mm,
some support at
yeah.
some time or another.
Yeah.
And during COVID, that tested, you know, particularly in that first isolation, where we live, Whinga, the first people that lost their jobs at the airport or
Mm,
got their hours reduced were the Samoan boys,
yeah.
and they have young families, so we could move really quickly into that because we know our community.
Yeah.
So I think for Vinepa Trust, it's that whatever we do it well, and
Nice.
that it is really reflective
Yeah.
and wanted by our community, which is the thing around waiting list, waiting list, but you can't say no.
Yeah.
Um, Budgets don't define in the end. Any money we get, we just spoil the people who have want to do the course,
Yeah.
want to do, I don't know if it's a course or a workshop, but I could see, and I am always reminded, and particularly on Saturday night, you can see the absolute, it was a fiafia, the happiness,
Yeah.
the wanting to be there, and not just our older ladies who just went for it and were gorgeous, but also our younger kids, Tupo, who pushed for it,
Yeah.
and her daughters made monomono, and really special for them.
Yeah.
My blanket finger I called moilele, right?
Yeah.
And it was because that's what my auntie Mabel said on her nightly calls to me.
Mm,
She's gone now, but on that blanket, was pieces of Va'a's aloas, my Uncle Jim's aloas, my Samoa college uniform, or pieces of cuts of material of my mother's bears. And round the outside was the piece of a blanket my grandmother gave to me for my 21st. So it was really special. You know, it wasn't sewn very well in places, but that to me, it's incredibly special. And all of the ladies told those stories with theirs.
Yeah.
So there was laughter, but there was tears.
Yeah.
And it's a practical way of moving forward,
Nice.
but still not forgetting where you've come from.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Vinga, I'm going all over the place.
No. I mean, you know, we could talk for hours in terms of, you know, not just Saturday night, but also the amazing projects that you run with Vinepa. But we do have to finish up our interview. Gabby, really appreciate you being a part of our Island Time Talanoa, and I know your heart and really love the work that you do, not just within the Vinepa Trust stuff, but just within our community and your family in general. So we love you very much, Gabby. Looking forward to speaking more with you in the future, especially with other projects coming up. And
see you at the semi-finals, Rongatai on Saturday.
Rongatai this Saturday against Silverstream. And all the best to you and the kids. Love you very much. Take care.
Yeah,
there you go, beautiful listeners. Our Island Time Talanoa with Gabby Makisi.
Bringing Pacific people together. 531 PI.